Module 6 of Public International Law, that is state territory and state succession. We already seen what is the importance of state territory under international law, because state territory is one of the essential requirement of the statehood. To have an international personality, it is necessary for every state to have a territory. Therefore, wandering tribe without territory cannot be considered as a state. That's what territory is important. So there were several ways by which a territory can be acquired. That way we had seen already: prescription, occupation, accretion, cession, retrocession, cessation, etc. These are the different way by which one state can acquire territory, as well as already acquired territory can be lost. So in this context, the territory is important for every state. The second concept with which we are going to deal is the concept of state succession. So you are familiar with the concept of succession, wherein right and duties were follows on the successor, and the process is called as succession. Like domestic law, if the person dies without making a valid will, his property will devolve as per the law laid down in succession. Similarly, here, if the state comes to an end, the right and obligations, either positive, negative, of that particular state will devolve upon the successor state. That's what in this context we had seen, that there were two kind of state for state succession. One is predecessor state and another is successor state. So I think up to this extent we had discussed yesterday. Today we will see how succession has been defined by the different authors. And the first among them is Oppenheim. He says a succession of international person occurs when one or more international person take the place of another international person in consequences of certain changes in the latter's conditions. Second definition is given by Stark. It says transmission of right and obligations from state which have altered or lost their identity to other state or entities, such alteration or loss of identity occurring primarily when complete or partial change of sovereignty take place over portion of the territory. In short, एखादं राष्ट्र ज्यावेळी संपुष्टात येत असतं, ते राष्ट्र संपुष्टात आल्यानंतर त्या राष्ट्राची जागा दुसरं राष्ट्र घेत असेल तर अशा वेळी सक्सेशनची प्रक्रिया निर्माण होते. जे राष्ट्र संपुष्टात येत आहे त्या राष्ट्रावर असणाऱ्या जबाबदाऱ्या आणि बंधन किंवा देणी असतील, डेप्ट वगैरे, ते कुणाकडे जातील? नवीन राष्ट्राकडे जातील किंवा किती प्रमाणात जातील, किंवा नवीन राष्ट्र जुन्या राष्ट्राने घेतलेली कर्ज किंवा असलेल्या जबाबदाऱ्या याच्यासाठी जबाबदार असेल का? ही सगळं प्रोसेस सांगणारा कायदा म्हणजे स्टेट सक्सेशन. Now we will see there were codified articles dealing with the state succession, and the convention for that is called as Vienna Convention 1983 on succession of state. This convention also defines the concept of succession under Article 2. It says the state succession is the replacement of one state by another in the responsibility for international relation of territory. Very simple definition is given by this convention. सरळ सरळ आंतरराष्ट्रीय त्या प्रांताच्या संबंधित प्रांताच्या आंतरराष्ट्रीय संबंधासाठी ज्यावेळी एखादं राष्ट्र दुसऱ्या राष्ट्राच्या जागी रिप्लेस होत असेल तर त्या प्रक्रियेला स्टेट सक्सेशन म्हणायचं. म्हणजेच जर त्या राष्ट्राला आंतरराष्ट्रीय संबंध नको असेल तर नो क्वेश्चन ऑफ स्टेट सक्सेशन अराईज. तो त्यांचा वैयक्तिक प्रश्न असेल, वैयक्तिक म्हणण्यापेक्षा डोमेस्टिक क्वेश्चन विदिन देअर टेरिटरी. पण जर त्याचे आंतरराष्ट्रीय संबंध येत असतील आणि ते आंतरराष्ट्रीय संबंध चालू ठेवणे ही गोष्ट महत्वाची असेल, त्यावेळी मात्र स्टेट सक्सेशनचा प्रश्न निर्माण होईल आणि नवीन राष्ट्रावर जुन्या राष्ट्राच्या कुठल्या गोष्टी बंधनकारक असतील किंवा कुठली देणी द्यावी लागतील हे डिस्कस करणारा कायदा म्हणजे स्टेट सक्सेशन. आणि त्याच्यासाठी एक करारनामा केलेला आहे. त्या करारनामाचं नाव आहे व्हिएन्ना कन्व्हेन्शन. व्हिएन्ना हे जागेचं नाव आहे. आंतरराष्ट्रीय लॉ, इंटरनॅशनल लॉ मध्ये परत लक्षात घ्या. जे जे करारनामे असतील ते ज्या शहरामध्ये, ज्या देशामध्ये झाले त्या नावाने पुढं पॉप्युलर होतात किंवा प्रसिद्धीस येतात. जसं व्हिएन्ना कन्व्हेन्शन आहे, व्हिएन्ना या ठिकाणी अनेक करार झाले, त्याच्यामुळे व्हिएन्ना कन्व्हेन्शन. इव्हन ते लॉ ऑफ ट्रिटीजचा जो करारनामा आहे, ट्रिटी कशी असावी काय आपण ते लॉ ऑफ ट्रिटीज मध्ये पाहू, तो सुद्धा करारनामा व्हिएन्ना येथे झालेला आहे. त्यामुळे त्याला व्हिएन्ना कन्व्हेन्शन असं म्हटलेलं. येस. नाऊ वी विल मूव्ह टुवर्ड्स द डिफरन्स बिटवीन स्टेट सक्सेशन अँड सक्सेशन टू गव्हर्नमेंट. Yes. So I think we discussed this during the syllabus. These are two different concepts. Succession of government should not be confused with the succession of state, because succession of government occurred as per the national law of that particular country, that is constitution in majority nations. Even in India, the succession to government occur because of the constitution. That is periodical elections provided by constitution. So here, if the one government take the place of another government, that is called as succession to government, and that doesn't have any impact on international relations. So this concept is not a succession of state. But if India is acquired by somebody else, then the question of state succession will be acquired. Or if India acquired some other nations, then question of state succession of that nation will arise. Therefore, a succession of government occurs when the government of a state is replaced with a new one, and state succession occurs when state ceases to exist or a new state is formed within the territory of an existing state, or a territory is transferred from one state to another state. So these are the two different concepts. Now we will move towards the consequences of state succession. What happens if the state succession took place? Yes. So first impact we have to see on the treaties. What will happen with the treaties entered by predecessor state, and whether successor state can claim benefits or is liable for the treaties entered by the predecessor state. So for this, the provision was there in the Vienna Convention on Succession of State in respect of treaties, that was adopted on 23rd August 1978 and came into force in the year 1996. So as per this convention, clean state rule has been followed simply, and due recognition has been given to the consent of state. So clean state ruled subject to consent of state. Consent of state, newly emerging state, and state with whom treaties were entered into by predecessor state. There will be a negotiation between all these state again, subject to clean state rule. क्लीन स्टेट रूल म्हणजे पाठीपुरी करून टाकायची नवीन राष्ट्रानं. नवीन राष्ट्र, नवीन गडी नवा राज्य जसं असतं त्या पद्धतीने दॅट क्लीन स्टेट रूल इज देअर. सगळे नव्यानं सुरुवात करणे. So this convention advocates for the clean state rule. So as per this convention, according to clean state rule, a newly independent state is unencumbered by the obligations and commitment of the predecessor state. Encumbered हा शब्द ऐकला असेल तुम्ही, एनकम्ब्रन्सेस. इथं अनएनकम्बर्ड असं म्हटलेलं आहे. एनकम्बर्ड म्हणजे असणे आणि अनएनकम्बर्ड म्हणजे नील होणे. एनकम्ब्रन्सेस हा शब्द ऐकला असेल, फ्री फ्रॉम एनकम्ब्रन्सेस. त्याच्यामुळे ट्रान्सफर ऑफ प्रॉपर्टी मध्ये हे शब्द तुम्हाला जातील की एव्हरी प्रॉपर्टी सोल्ड मस्ट बी फ्री फ्रॉम एनकम्ब्रन्सेस. एनकम्ब्रन्सेस म्हणजे काय मराठीत? What mean by encumbrances in other words? Simply comment in chat box. Encumbrances means other charges to be borne by one person to another. Debt लायबिलिटीज आर एन्कम्ब्रन्सेस, मराठीत त्याला बोजा असा शब्द आहे. 7-12 वगैरे तुम्ही पाहिलं तर त्याच्यावर सर्कल दिसतील बँकांचे, अजून कुणाचे, दॅट इज एन्कम्ब्रन्सेस. आणि ते एन्कम्ब्रन्सेस काढून टाकणे म्हणजे अनएन्कम्बर्ड करणं. तसं क्लीन स्टेट रूल नुसार एकदा का सक्सेशन अस्तित्वात आलं तर जे काय असेल ते क्लीन होईल असं. In this sense, the clean state rule says. Yes. So it has full freedom to continue or discontinue the treaties. The new state is at liberty whether to continue or discontinue with the treaty. But in practice, what happened? Practically, the new state want to development, want investment, want to cooperate with the other state. And if that observe the clean state rule, the other state will not interact with him, with that particular state. And that particular state may not develop internationally. It may not get the market from other nations. That's what they have to do negotiation. That was this rule is there, but subject to consent of state. Otherwise, international law says new state may follow the approach of clean state rule. So depend again on the negotiation between state. So that's what we had seen, consent of state. Yes. The next is membership of international organization. What will happen with the membership, which was already taken? See, yesterday someone asked, what is the status of Taiwan? I posted one article in the Google Classroom. Taiwan is independent state for Taiwan only, but there is a difference between dispute between China and Taiwan. Both are China by race. One is Republic of China and another one is Liberation something of China. So both are China and both claim to be a Chinese nations. So there is a dispute between China and Taiwan. Taiwan was not recognized by many nations. Even India doesn't recognize Taiwan. But Taiwan for themselves is a state as well as for other state it is recognized. Like Singapore, they recognize Taiwan. So they claim themselves as a state. Again, as per declaratory theory, that's what we see in recognition of state. The theories of recognitions are there. As per declaratory theory, Taiwan is a state because they have government, they have population, they have territory. Though it is a water territory, Taiwan is an island near to the China. So here the membership of international organization, because Taiwan was not a membership of WHO, because recently this question is in debate today, that whether to accept Taiwan as a member of World Health Organization, because the cases of COVID-19 were minimum as compared to the world in Taiwan, and what strategy Taiwan adopted, that is the center focus for other nations. That's what India is in favor because of the recent differences with the China. India is in favor to accept Taiwan as a member of international organization. So even Taiwan is not a member of United Nations as well. So here for membership of international organization, succession झाल्यानंतर जे राष्ट्र संपुष्टात आले त्याच्या मेंबरशिप संपतील किंवा जे नवीन राष्ट्र आले त्याला नव्याने मेंबरशिप घेता येतील का घ्याव्या लागतील, त्याचा मेंबरशिपवर काय परिणाम होईल. सो इट इज सेटल्ड दॅट मेंबरशिप ऑफ इंटरनॅशनल ऑर्गनायझेशन and the obligations incidental thereto do not pass to the successor state. Successor state ला मिळणार नाहीत. कारण मेंबरशिपला काय लागतं, whether that state has a capacity to entered into international obligations. How that capacity can be judged on the basis of practice adopted by concerned state. So it will not continue. It will discontinue, and the new state have to apply newly for the membership of international organization. Though it is United Nations organization, WHO, whatever. And the example is India and Pakistan. So India continued to be a member of the United Nations because India as a parent state already get the membership of United Nations. But subsequently, Pakistan was admitted to membership as a new state on September 13, 1947. because Pakistan claimed, as per the law of succession, as per their arguments, that the law of state succession says that Pakistan is already a member of United Nations because Pakistan is a part of India and India was a member. So after succession, Pakistan arose and it is continued, but this argument was not accepted of Pakistan, and Pakistan have to take new membership of the United Nations organization. So same thing will happen with the SAARC, UNO, all other international organization, BRICS, whatever. So this will happen in case of succession of membership to international organization. Now we will see what will happen in case of succession of public property. Public property includes the property of that particular state. Even it includes the investment of state into another nation, that is also public property, and assets of that particular state with whom that assets will go. So, but naturally successor state, the new state will take it. Yes, the Vienna Convention of 7th April 1983 on state succession in respect of property. So separate convention was there for property, archives and debt. Archives we will see later. So the on state succession in respect of state property, archives and debt enumerates provision as to the passing of state property to the successor state. So as per this convention, the public property of predecessor state will pass to the successor state because for that sake only they had invaded that particular state. So the successor state takes all the public and proprietary rights, be it intellectual property right, investment, shares, whatever, tangible, intangible properties of the predecessor state as a state property, state railways, metro nowadays, whatever infrastructure developed by the predecessor state will be taken by the successor state, including fiscal funds, the debts given, etc. Okay, can't hear you. Is it so? Are you able to hear me? Immediate the comment in chat box if you are not able to hear me. Okay. Now, yes. Now you are able to listen. Okay. So, in case of public property, simple rule is the public property will be go with the successor state. की त्या जुन्या राष्ट्रानं जे काय इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर उभा केलेलं आहे किंवा जी काय प्रॉपर्टी आहे ती सगळी प्रॉपर्टी नवीन राष्ट्राला जाईल शॉर्ट. So it also take all assets of the predecessor state, including such assets of state funds जसं consolidated fund आहे आपल्याकडे constitution नुसार, consolidated fund of India, contingency fund of India, या ज्या गोष्टी आहेत investments made by the state त्या सगळ्या नवीन राष्ट्राकडे जातील. So state funds, funds invested abroad, movable properties, etc. It will also acquire the right to collect taxes due to the predecessor state. आधीच्या राष्ट्राचे जे टॅक्सेस गोळा करायचे राहिले होते तो राईट सुद्धा नवीन राष्ट्राकडे जाईल. ते आल्यानंतर ते टॅक्सेस गोळा करू शकतात. फाईन चे अरियर्स असतील, अरियर्स ऑफ लँड रेव्हेन्यू असतील, व्हॉट एव्हर, ते सक्सेसर स्टेटकडे जाईल. The successor state in general takes over the predecessor state's property without compensation, and no compensation is required to be paid by the successor to the predecessor state. When part of the territory of state is transferred to another state, mutual agreement ने ते झालं असेल, जसं इंडिया पाकिस्तानच्या बाबतीत झालं. There was act, Indian Partition Act, and a treaty was entered for transferring the territory. So तसं असेल तर when a part of the territory of state is transferred to another state in the absence of any agreement, immovable property situate in the territory taken over by the successor state is to pass to it. जर असं agreement नसेल तर ती सक्सेसर स्टेट कडे जाईल. जनरली अशा वेळी अग्रीमेंट करायचे जसं भारत पाकिस्ताननं अग्रीमेंट केलं आणि काही रक्कम आणि टेरिटरी भारतानं पाकिस्तानला दिली. अमृतसर नंतर पलीकडे लाहोर वगैरे पंजाबच्या काही प्रांतांनी या गोष्टी. याच्यामध्ये गदरमध्ये ऐकलं असेल तुम्ही डायलॉग, बंटवारे के वक्त. सो likewise the treaties can be entered into by two nations and some territory and amounts can be given. तसं असेल तर no question of dispute will be there. Now we will move towards public debt. त्या सरकारनं घेतलेली कर्ज, मग ते जागतिक बँकेकडून असतील, आणखी कुठून असतील, युनायटेड नेशन्स कडून, इतर राष्ट्रांकडून. Yes, whether successor state is liable for debt. Yes, that's what we are now at the public debt. Here we will discuss the whether successor state is liable for a debt taken by predecessor state. So, in case of public debt, there is a controversy in regard to the succession of public debt. आता इथं मतांतर आहेत पब्लिक डेटच्या बाबतीत. काय होईल? Jurists are of the view that it depends upon the discretion of the succeeding state whether to pay the public debt of the predecessor state. So, it is on the sweet will of the successor state. Discretion means sweet will. That is to be exercised on the basis of guidelines. But how guidelines can be molded, that everybody know. So, we can call it as a sweet will. So, डिस्क्रिशन ऑफ द स्टेट त्या राष्ट्राच्या विशेष अधिकारावर अवलंबून आहे. त्याला जर वाटलं की यांनी घेतलेले कर्ज आपण द्यायचे तर ते देऊ शकतात, नाहीतर हा मॅटर ऑफ डिस्प्यूट होऊन इंटरनॅशनल कोर्टात जाईल आणि मग ते तिथे डिसाइड करतील. पण जनरल रूल इज, आणि त्यावेळी कोर्ट गाईडलाईन वापरेल की कशासाठी कर्ज दिले होते, कशासाठी नाही. सो फर्स्ट डिपेंड अपॉन द डिस्क्रिशन ऑफ द स्टेट. इफ द स्टेट इज रेडी they can pay, but generally no one will be ready to pay the debt because everybody look into the benefit, not to the loss practically. That's what the third requirement is. The succeeding state in such cases gives due regard to the purpose of debt. ते डेप्ट देताना सक्सेडिंग स्टेट याचा विचार करेल की कशासाठी डेप्ट घेतले होते आधीच्या राष्ट्रांनी. ते टेररिझमसाठी घेतले होते की अँटी ह्युमन ऍक्टिव्हिटीज साठी घेतले होते, न्यूक्लिअर वेपन्स बनवायला घेतले होते, वॉट एव्हर. सो द सक्सिडिंग स्टेट इन सच केसेस गिव्ह ड्यू रिगार्ड टू द पर्पज ऑफ द डेप्ट, that is whether they are taken for the financing of war or other hostile undertaking against the successor state. त्याच राष्ट्राच्या विरोधात. सपोज पाकिस्तानचं उद्या सक्सेशन झालं, चायनाने केलं, आणखी कुणी केलं. आता पाकिस्ताननी काही डेप्ट घेतलेले, ते डेप्ट मग चायना पाहिजे कशासाठी घेतले होते. ते जर भारतामध्ये टेररिझम पुरस्कृत करण्यासाठी घेतलेले असतील तर दॅट स्टेट विल नॉट पे. सो लाईकवाईज, किंवा भारताने उद्या केलं असेल, व्हॉट एव्हर, जनरली इट इज नॉट गेट accepted. Yes, no one. आणि if so, then why they have mentioned that state must be newly unencumbered? If so, yes, clean state rule is there, but for not in case of debt, for other aspects. Clean state is not generally accepted. Clean state rule, they get it unencumbered generally, but still if the debt were taken for the lawful purposes, then the new state may claim such debt. So you may criticize the clean state rule on this aspect. See, it is a what we call international law is a vanishing point of jurisprudence. Every aspect under international law is a subject matter of criticism. So that's what international law is, not a true law, the answer for everything. You may criticize each and every aspect under international law, or it is full with controversy. So though clean state rule is followed, but that clean state rule is subject to consent of the state. That is not absolute. We have discussed here in clean state rule itself that clean state rule is a general rule, but there were exceptions. If the state not consented, state may approach to the court in such situation. So in case of public debt, it is the discretion of the state. Discretion of the state means the state may say that there is a clean state rule and we are not liable to pay your debt. Other state may argue there were diplomatic negotiations, then ultimately it is to be decided. That is not said that they have to pay, but this is not binding in other words. So they will give due regard to the purpose of debt. Now, the part 4 of the Vienna Convention on State Property, Archives and Debt 1983 that deals with the debt specifically. So, Article 36, succession does not affect the right and obligation of creditors. So, the creditors, as per Article 36, may approach against the successor state when the successor state is newly independent state. See, no state debt shall pass to the new state unless an agreement between the two states provides otherwise. So ultimately it depends upon the agreement entered into between two states. So again the question is, in by what process succession is occurred? It is occurred by conquest, it is occurred by agreement likewise. As per Article 40, in case of separation of part of the territory of state, debt of predecessor state should pass to the successor state in an equitable proportion. If the succession occurs because of the partition like India-Pakistan, then there will be a proportion of debt that can be done under a treaty. कुणी किती डेप्ट द्यायचे सपोज दोन राष्ट्रांमध्ये पार्टिशन होऊन दोन राष्ट्र तयार झाले असतील आणि डेप्ट घेतलेला असेल आधी अशा वेळी प्रपोर्शन काढलं जाईल कुणाला किती प्रांत मिळालाय त्याच्यानुसार तेवढं कर्ज देण्याची जबाबदारी त्या प्रांताची असेल. Now tort, the next point or consequences is a torts. So tort committed by previous state or predecessor state. Yes. So tort is a civil wrong wherein compensations are claimed. So if the tort are committed by state on certain persons and the cases were filed. Now this is to some extent a question of private international law otherwise because the individual had filed an action into against the state for tortious action and latter succession took place in the meantime. New state come whether the suits will be continued against new state. That is the concept of state succession in respect of tort. So the succeeding states are under no liability for the tort of the predecessor state because this will happen into the discharge of tort because the succession means state dies. The general rule is the tort is discharged and this was held in the Robert E. Brown's claim 1923 that the new state is not bound to give compensation for the wrong committed by earlier state. So, Robert E. Brown was an American citizen. In 1894, he went to South Africa and started the work of digging gold mines in South Africa. So, American citizens entered into a contract with South Africa for gold mine digging. After some time, the head of the state of South Africa declared that in the eastern part of that area, state would undertake the work. Means that work was acquired. Now, this case we have to discuss at length. We will discuss it tomorrow. So, any other question? Clean state, you may say that clean state rule is not absolute. In certain aspect like debt, etc., the liability of state may arise, depend on the object of debt. But that is not final. May arise means you can claim whether to be granted or not. That is again the discretion of state. If the matter went to the court, then again court will decide. Generally, court will observe the clean state rule because clean state rule will be prevailed over these aspects. So we will stop here.